The meanie gang is forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I'm joined by Raging Tiger once again. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
You brought this to my attention, and I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about. But Unico has just announced the Traveler ULW10, which is a monitor. It looks to be about 10-inch screen, but it's stylized like the classic PVM style monitors that like the Sony PVM, if I'm correctly doing the thing right, if I remember correctly. So what it basically is boasting is primarily for these retro games with the 4x3 format. Interestingly enough, it has VGA, HDMI, and the RGB connectors to it, as well as a USB-A. So this isn't a full CRT, as you brought to my attention. This is actually an LCD monitor, but it's stylized as those old Sony PVMs that were CRT. Is there anything I'm missing from this?
No, you pretty much got the general gist of it. Like, it's essentially a retro device, but it's not retro in that they're using a conventional LCD, or we don't even know if it's LCD or anything else like OLED or whatever IPS, whatever flat screen technology is common on monitors. They didn't really discuss that. But yeah, it's not a true CRT screen, but what they've designed it to do is they talk about on the site, on the trailer, it's high, can simulate the original CRT or pixel art style of old games. So this is interesting because normally, for those of you who play emulators like 2D game emulators, or even also if you have any of the retro consoles like the Analog 3D, which I have, those features were specific to the game or the software or hardware that you were running on, right? So the Analog 3D, you would basically, there's a setting in Analog 3D to set the scan lines and adjust the scan lines to try and get your screen to mimic a CRT. This is unique in that it's doing this at the monitor level. So regardless of whether you're running an emulation or a game that has scanline features built in, you won't need to enable or configure that because they'll be done with this monitor. So it'll be interesting to see how games look when they're being done, when the scan lines are being done at the monitor rather than at the software or hardware level.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this really at all as far as like input latency or anything like that, but one thing that's
another huge question.
Yeah, and I have an educated guess as to how it will be. So I recently saw on Facebook, my Facebook feed, about the Phoenix monitors, which they're selling as CRT replacement screens for like arcade cabinets and stuff.
For arcade cabs, yep.
Yeah, so my hope is that this essentially would be like a miniature version of one of these, right?
I'm almost certain they're using at least the screen is the same as their Phoenix technology.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess as to how they're achieving the inputs, so people in the retro community are no stranger to this, but there's something that you can get called a retro. Well, the most commonly used retro upscaler is called RetroTink.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a analog upscaler to where you plug the console into it. So if you have a console and you don't have HDMI input on your console, you could also have the option of buying a RetroTink, which you would plug in the inputs of your console into the RetroTink and then run HDMI to your modern television. And by doing it that way, what the RetroTink does is it takes the analog and it upscales it to a digital signal. But another, as side effect, because of the fact that it's running the native analog signal, is it significantly reduces the latency. So I'm guessing with this, since there's analog inputs built in, that they're running some type of analog to digital upscaler similar to a RetroTink, except it's all built into one device.
Right. And so what I was thinking with that, right? I assume it's going to be similar technology. I guess the only difference would be the fact that it has also the RGB inputs and stuff. And I don't think the Traveler has like the SGA or CGA, EGA kind of connection. I think it's just VGA, HDMI, and then like the RGB, sRGB or whatever.
Basically composite component.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've noticed that there's no S video.
Right. And so I initially thought this would be like a $500 thing, but now that I'm looking at it through the lens of, comparing it to the other monitors that they have, yeah, this could very well just be like a $200 thing after all. Maybe 300, maybe, but I thought it might have been at least a 500. But what I will say is that I've seen people, because on that Facebook post, people were talking about how those replacement monitors were great for replacing it for anything except for like light gun games, basically. And I'm like, okay, so maybe they're going to use that same technology but miniaturize it for that. So what I'm thinking is more than likely this will be the case. And so it should be considerably cheaper to do that. And there shouldn't be too much on the latency end. So I guess we'll see what happens in regards to that. Okay, we're back.
Yep.
So, yeah. So you were saying about the colors and stuff, right? The people's complaints about Phoenix.
So with when the Phoenix monitors first came out, one of the issues that some of the arcade vendors as well as some home arcade enthusiasts had with the Phoenix monitors was the color accuracy, was that the color was a bit off, which initially is to be expected because it's generating a signal in a completely different way than going VGA or JAMA, right? So what they had done was they went back to the drawing board and re-released another module for the video inputs that the monitor plugs into. And then ever since they did that, people have reported that the colors are better. But it's one of those things where with the monitors, it's fully tunable, which it looks like going by those knobs that are on this one, it has the same concept. So if you look on the front, I know it's hard to see on the pictures that they offer. They're like the knobs for...
Yeah.
And I'm sure one of those first three are similar for calibrating your color and dialing it in. So you'll probably have to do that for some of these games too. As far as Virtua Cop, I don't really see an issue with light gun games. Like if you're trying to play a PS2 or PS1 or Dreamcast light or Saturn light gun game, you're probably not going to have an issue because the light gun interface plugs into the video interface.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But they were saying like on the arcade cabinets. So I don't know if there's something as far as like the arcade cabinets or whatever, but I would imagine I can play PS1 Time Crisis no problem.
Yeah. Now, as far as an arcade cabinet for light gun games, they don't have analog inputs on the arc. So the Phoenix monitors hook up via VGA and JAMA, just like an actual arcade screen in the cabinet. There is no component or composite interface. So your only option if you're trying to set up arcade light gun games is to use a send-in Gun for IR or any of the other light gun solutions that they have out there.
Yeah. Let me think. So yeah, I would probably still go ahead and I think I should be good to be able to use the light gun for Time Crisis 2,
Yeah,
which would be
it
nice
should
because I
not
got
be
the
an
pedal
issue
and
on
shit.
these.
So
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue on these whatsoever because they have the necessary inputs that your controller plugs into.
yeah. No real information on like specs beyond just it doesn't even confirm the size of the screen, but it looks to be like 10 inches. A lot of this is speculation. All we know is that it's native 4x3 and it supports sRGB and can simulate original CRT or pixel art style of old games.
Yeah, which tells me that it'll have built-in scan lines and whatnot.
Right. And so in the picture, like they have like the Xbox and these other console drawings on there next to the monitors or whatever. But also it has speakers built in, which is nice and not something else you need to worry about. But yeah, we're still largely in the dark about it and it will be on Kickstarter. Like I said, you had said something about people speculating at around 200. I'm thinking maybe 3.
I think it's going to be 200. I really do.
Okay. This is
Mainly because of the size of the screen is why I'm thinking 200. If it was something like 15 or 17 or 20, then I would think more in the 300. But at it for a 10-inch screen, I'm really thinking 200, honestly.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree only because the Phoenix monitor, the 19 inch is like 250 normally. It's discounted to 200. The only reason why I would push it further up is because those monitors by themselves are just the monitors. With this one, you have the casing and the other stuff and parts that need to be accounted for. And I would imagine that would bump the price up a little bit. If not 300, the lowest I'd be willing to go is 250. But I think 300 might be the might be the price point. And this might be like a showcase showdown from Price is Right. And we'll see who's closer. But
yeah, I'm still thinking because the cheapest Phoenix monitor is the 19-inch one, which, like you said, is on sale for 200. But again, that's twice the size of this one. That's a 20-inch. I mean, it's 19, but it's round up to 20.
Yeah, so it is twice the size of it. But at the same time, the expectation is like you're gonna drop this into an arcade cabinet and that's it. I just imagine with this having like it's like housing and other stuff involved into it, speakers, etc. That would drive the price up for me a little bit.
I think honestly, I think it'll just even itself out. Now, one thing that I'm really interested in knowing is what the refresh rate is going to be, because you can see the refresh rate on the Unico Phoenixes, which it maxes out at 31. It maxes out at 31 kilohertz, which for arcades is fine because that was the refresh rate it was back then. For that low latency stuff on the for it to be like a PVM or a CRT, ideally the response time is going to have to be much faster. I don't know, but maybe that won't be the case because it's using, like I said, the retro tank. If you had a retro tank, even if you had a low refresh rate monitor, the retro tank almost eliminates all of the latency by virtue of the fact that you're plugging the inputs directly to the device, and I'm pretty sure this is using the same method. So,
yeah, I'd be interested as far as the refresh rate and stuff like that. Because again, these things are modeled after like PVMs, which are straight up CRTs, but those things are pretty expensive nowadays, especially because they're not kind of like a lost technology, so to speak. So I see they're kind of trying to target that audience, but I'm curious how close to that performance can they get it? The price point as well, but we'll see. You know, I really want to be wrong, but I'm also not. I wouldn't be upset at paying 300 for something like this either.
yeah, I just want to know if they're going to put out larger sizes. I like the design, absolutely, but for me to really, really want this, I'm gonna need that to be a minimum 19.
I can do this at like 10. I would like something bigger, but I think for kind of what I would be looking for right now, I could do a nice little 10-inch monitor to go with like my GameCube and Dreamcast and stuff like that. Because I don't need the extra space. So like, well, I don't need. Well, I would need extra space to accommodate bigger monitors and stuff. Like this thing can sit on my desk next to my other monitor where I do work and stuff, and then I can plug in a Dreamcast or something. Or it can even sit on my 2009 next to like the monitor and do some stuff there. So there's some options there, but I think I like the idea of it being this size.
Fair point. Me, on the other hand, I'd have to completely redo my setup because I'm sort of spoiled. So I work so I'm currently in my office. This is normally where I do any of my conferences and streams from. So in my office, I'm basically facing a 43-inch 4K gaming monitor. They don't really even make stuff like this anymore. This was at a time when monitor manufacturers had it in their mind that there's going to be a convergence between gaming PCs and consoles. So, hey, what if we just made a big screen monitor so you'd have a similar experience to your TV, which is what this is. So I have an Aros 43-inch widescreen monitor, and then in the living room is my TV. It's a 60-inch Vizio. And so that's kind of what I'm used to. So like with 10-inch, it's very hard to want to go from that to like a little 10-inch monitor. So it's like,
yeah.
But I'm also I'm also interested in trying to set up a few multicades in the man cave. I have 2 arcade 1-ups right now. I have the XL Golden Tee, and I have Midway Golden Tee XL cab, and I have the Pac-Man XL cabinet. But I'd be willing to like replace that with, if they had one that was 17 or 19 inches, I would replace one of those and make a setup with a 19-inch, PVM screen like that, and that I could work with that. But 10-inch, I just don't know where I would put that.
Yeah, and again, we're speculating that it's roughly 10 inches. It could be bigger, it could be smaller. But I think
I'm going to go on based on the fact that like it has it in the name, because the actual name of the device is the ULW10.
Yeah, so I think that is the giveaway, even though they don't clearly say it. But ULW10, the other monitor, was ULM 30 for 30-inch, 26, 25, etc. So yeah, so I think it is a safe assumption it's 10. But yeah, we don't know anything else about it right now until the Kickstarter goes live. I signed up for it, so I guess we'll see.
As did I, yep.
Red and white, cream white, or studio gray? Which color would you pick?
I was kind of dead set on black, but that the red and white looks nice too. And I get what they're going. They're basically getting the Famicom colors of the red and white.
That. Yeah.
But I think with black, because the red holds up, that white is just going to degrade over time, just like the cream white will. So I'm probably, if I was like for long term, the studio gray for sure for me.
Yeah, I might end up just getting that because it'll fit in any room really. I like the red and white from first look, but I'd have to see how the rest of it is. Right now, it just looks like the panel itself with the knobs and stuff is white, and then like the grill in the front, like speaker grill is white, but that's it.
Yeah.
So depending on how the rest of it looks, maybe. But right now, I think I would go with studio gray. I don't want to have the retro bright, the cream white one in like 5 years. So
yeah, because that's just gonna degrade. It's gonna get brown.
Unless I decide I want to like actually paint it and do something with it, because I'm always open to that. So maybe I'll do some like cool kind of like not turbo graphics, but like Commodore 64 color style or something like that. I don't know. I can play around with it. At least that gives me like a canvas if I want to play around with it. But I don't know if I feel like going that deep.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I guess this is where we'll put a pin in it for now because we are still limited on information. But I want to track this, so as new information comes out, we can do another one of these and talk about more about it and see what's come up from it. They did. I know they're. I guess this is one of those things where you have to wait list and then they'll let you know when the Kickstarter is going to start. Yeah. So I think it was something similar with the Battle Doc as well. So.
I'd just be interested to see how creative, once the community gets their hands on this, what kind of creative stuff they're going to do with it. I'm also wondering, like, you see those metal, they have like these metal, almost look like rack mounts.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what those are for, because PVMs also had those for some reason.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. What are those used for?
Yeah, because typically you could rack these into like a mount or whatever, and then that would be a way that you would kind of pull them out because you wouldn't be able to access them from the side.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, once you slide that in, and I can see that like there seems to be like some kind of screw holes on the back and sides of it from like the different pictures I'm seeing. So maybe you'll be able to do that as well. The only thing is that like the holes are on the bottom and on the just like on the bottom and on the back. There's none on like the top and the sides, I guess. So I'm not entirely sure how it would work, but ideally you'd be able to rack this, like slide it into a rack and mount it and stuff like that too.
Also be interested to see, since we know it's not tube, if it's hollow inside, and if it is, would people be inspired to like try and build something inside of it, like maybe like a cyber deck or something, or who knows?
Yeah. I think actually, depending on the price point, if it's a decent price point, I may go for more than one eventually, because now that you mention it, racking them could be pretty interesting. And then even like like situations where you can run like multiple consoles or whatever. Like, yeah, there's some possibilities there.
And I'm curious what the weight is going to be, because the name of this thing is the Traveler.
Yeah, so I would hope it's not too heavy.
Yeah, if it's meant to be a Traveler, then it's got to be light. And if it's light, that kind of opens the door to a lot of things. So
yeah, what I will say though is that this is similar to PVMs, where it has handles on the side and not the top. So it should have some weight due to it having handles on the side, with the expectation you're going to carry this in two hands. If it were light enough for one hand, it would just be a handle on the top.
I'll also say that these were also spotted at Evo. At this past Evo, there was Unico had I guess not necessarily a booth, but like a kiosk setup.
Yeah.
In the convention hall, where they had the Raiden cabinet, not the Nova Blast, but their Raiden X cabinet. I don't know what the actual name of it is, because they don't even have it on their
it's
website.
So not the Nova Blast U3 Raiden?
Correct. There's so the SNK MVX cabinet. So it's like that, but Raiden themed instead of Neo Geo themed.
Oh.
And that was at Evo, and sitting next to it was the Traveler. And they even had some games set up on it too. There was it was either James Hates Everything or Michael B. the Genie, that he posted a picture that somebody took at it. So, but it was at Evo.
Yeah. Then I wonder what people are saying about it. So I guess I have to do some digging.
Mm-hmm.
See, but I don't know if they would have let you try to pick it up either. And you know how those companies are. They're like, oh, we can't say much about it right now. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good place. I didn't think we'd make 24 minutes out of this, but hey, good discussion though. We'll stick with this and follow up on it, and we'll do another one. So I appreciate you checking in, tuning Yeah, I appreciate you joining me. What I meant to say. And please make sure you like and subscribe, not only to myself, but Raging Tiger. And we will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.